So part of my final project is talking to somebody who lived through a social or a cultural or military uh, something that happened during the era after 1945. So Kuuipo let me know that you were a part of the Korean War. So I'm really excited to ask you a few questions if that's okay.
Well, I got started on the military early.
Really, how old were you when you had started?
I started 17 days after I turned 17.
Wow. Turned 17. Did you enlist or were you drafted?
Well, back then, everybody had a military commitment.
Right.
If you went at 17, you got a little better pick. Or you could go at 18 and you got some pick.
I see. Okay.
But if you waited until the latter part of your 18th year, they would draft you. And then you got no pick.
I see. And when you say pick, do you mean as far as the branch that you're going into?
Say again?
When you say pick, do you mean pick the branch that you're going into or your...
Well, yeah, as long as you enlisted, you got to pick the branch.
Okay.
Or I mean, Navy. Back then, the Air Force was part of the Army.
Oh.
They didn't separate the Air Force to be in a separate branch until the mid-40s.
I see.
The Air Force was part of the Army until after World War One. After World War II.
Oh, okay. So it was part of the Army.
It kind of confused matters.
Yeah, I would imagine. Were you in the Air Force?
No.
What branch were you in?
I was Army.
Army.
I went to Korea in an artillery unit.
Artillery unit.
That was the big ones addressed to whom it may concern. You know, that little one, that's got a particular name on it. When they get up like this, it's addressed to whom it may concern. And they're not particular who they hit.
It's what? Say that one more time.
What are you talking about, Grandpa?
Huh?
What's addressed?
Artillery.
Oh, your badge?
Huh?
Your artillery badge?
No. That was the diameter of the shell it shot.
Oh, the shell.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was it called again?
There were howitzers and long toms.
Long guns.
Long tom is a long-barreled artillery piece.
Mm.
Supposedly more accurate and more range. They can shoot further.
Is it like a gun or a cannon? Is it a gun or a cannon?
Well, a cannon.
Oh, cannon.
A howitzer and a long tom are both cannons.
Wow.
That book over there, they got a statement in there. They don't say who it was.
That's a big book.
Okay, this is the book, Jen.
Well, that covers.
Wow.
That covers.
This is how sick it is.
That's a big book.
It's only $7. Were you saving that page? Yeah.
One proud gunner, but he wasn't a gunner, he was a section chief, told the war correspondent gullies in front of us are already full of Chinese dead, and we intend to keep adding more to the pile.
And we intend to keep adding more to the pile.
We knew they were
wow.
we knew they were going to come down this particular way.
Oh, wow.
And they lined up these artillery units with all the ammo they could shoot.
Wow.
And the outfit I was in, each gun had a 105 and a 50 caliber machine gun. Then.
So you had that? You had that on your person?
No.
Oh, okay.
Let me. This don't have a picture.
You know, Genesis can look it up too, and she can pull it up for you. What are you searching for? He's searching for M7s.
M7s.
M7 self-propelled artillery.
Wow. I can see. I Googled it.
Did you pull it up? Did you search it up? Mm-hmm. Okay. So she's looking at those photos just like you are.
M7. So
what do you want to tell her?
See, you can see on this one, you can see the 50 caliber.
Mm-hmm. So do you see a photo of a tank with
caliber.
A star on
this
the
one
side?
You can see the 50 caliber.
So he said that one you can see the 50 caliber. Okay, so let's zoom in on that because I want to see it too. Okay, so this tank, you said those were lined up along the ridge you guys were at?
Can she see it on hers?
She can.
There was what caused me to start losing my hearing.
Wow.
In April 1951, they had several battalions of this, and each battalion had 18 guns.
Wow.
They had several battalions lined up in this riverbed. The Chinese said they were going to go through that riverbed into Seoul and have a parade. And Ridgway says, we'll see. That's when old Beaner Downey says, them valleys out in front are half full of Chinese bodies. We're going to add some more.
Wow.
Beaner Downey was a Pennsylvania National Guard from the 176th Armored Field Artillery.
Was that
I got shipped over there as filler personnel. You know, the Army at that time never had total personnel. Mm-hmm. And just before they'd get ready to go into combat, they'd ship a whole bunch of filler personnel in there.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So you lost some of your hearing because of those on the enemy side?
Well,
or were
I was laying on a riverbed that would be sloped down like this. And I was laying out there with an M1 Garand, and they were shooting right over my head.
That'll do it.
Not good for the hearing.
Definitely not. Wow.
But
so, Grandpa, why did you choose the Army? Was that the only branch? Was the Army the only branch available at the time?
No.
There was different branches?
Now, the Air Force was still part of the Army.
Oh, okay. So they
were flying overhead and dropping bombs and strafing and napalming. Then the Army had predominantly infantry, artillery, and engineers.
Mm. So,
So why the Army? You didn't want to fly?
We love to fly. But you know, you can take all this fancy armament
Mm-hmm.
and you got to still have somebody down on the ground sweeping up.
Mm.
The infantry is the Army's housemaid
Oh my
sweeping up. Well, can you think of a better way of describing them?
Nope, that
Coming
was
along, sweeping up on what they don't want.
that sounds accurate to me. Mm-hmm.
So, Grandpa, can you describe your first days in the service? You remember those first days?
On a train
Mm-hmm.
going from from Fort Lewis, Fort Lewis, Washington, Oregon, Utah, Fort Lewis, Utah.
Utah. That's Grandpa's from Utah.
On a train going to
What did you say?
Yeah.
You said
going to Kansas.
Oh, you went to Kansas first.
Went to Kansas, bundled us up, and then sent us to Fort Carson.
And then sent you to Fort Carson, Colorado. So you went to Kansas, then you went to Colorado. So Utah, Kansas, Colorado.
I went up to Colorado and I took basic training, some mortar training and artillery training, and then went across Fort Carson, went to
Korea?
Well, we had a different name for it.
Oh.
San Francisco.
Oh.
we had a not so polite name for it.
What was it?
Fruit and Nutville.
Fruit and Nutville.
Well,
it's pretty accurate, even in today's time.
but from there, we went to Frozen Chosen.
Frozen Chosen, which was Korea? Oh, Seoul or different part?
Busan. And we were lucky that we had enough land that we controlled in Busan to get off on.
Wow.
Because the Chinese had kicked our butts way down.
Wow.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm not very familiar with the Korean War. So the Chinese were on the Korean side?
Yes.
They were the allies?
A lot of the people that was in it weren't that familiar with it.
Oh.
That first part of the Korean War,
So glad
a
we
lot
have
of
you.
the people in it called it Raceville.
Okay. Why?
We chased them north.
Mm-hmm.
They chased us south. We chased them north. They chased us south.
Uh-huh.
Nobody was sure who was going to be where when.
Okay. So, that's what you mean, race, not the other race.
I was lucky that in basic training, I had an ex-Marine taught me how to use the M1 Garand.
Mm.
See, that M1 Garand liked to chew up thumbs.
Mm.
If you push your ammo down in it with your thumb, that was a good way to get a broken thumb.
Oh my gosh.
M1 Garand.
M1.
Yeah, that bolt would come home and catch your thumb and push it into the chamber, and you got a broken thumb.
Oh my gosh.
I'm looking up this gun.
But I had an ex-Marine.
Mm-hmm.
He taught us how to use the M1. He says the secret of never getting an M1 thumb is that finger. because you're holding it across. You take that finger and reach up and hold the operating rod.
Okay, so is
No,
that
no. That's
oh,
one of them modern type.
modern types.
Ah,
That's one of them. Probably a 223.
M1 Garand.
you still have your thumbs, I see. Yeah.
Well, he showed us how to use that finger, so we
Oh,
never
this?
got bit.
Like this?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
But you can hold it, you can control the bolt with that finger.
Okay, the bolt.
You hold it until it gets so far forward, and you move this hand out of there, and then you let it go.
Wow.
All them tricks us old codgers knew, these young kids don't know nothing about.
And Mary 1 Garand.
Awesome. Well, so before you enlisted, where were you living at the time?
Oh, I think before he enlisted, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So before you enlisted, like right before you turned 17, like where were you living? What were you doing?
Before I turned 17, yeah, I was
Because it sounds like you already had a plan.
Mm-hmm.
not really.
Oh.
I knew I had a military commitment.
Okay.
I had worked in logging. I had worked in cattle. I'd worked in hay fields. I'd worked in just general ranch hand.
And was that in Utah?
Idaho.
Idaho. Okay.
The little place I was born, they called it 10 Mile Pass.
10-mile pass.
Mainly because it was 10 miles from anything.
Wow.
It was 10 miles to Soda Springs. It was 10 miles to Henry. It was 10 miles to Bancroft. It was 10 miles.
Wow. Okay. So that was in Idaho.
Yeah.
Idaho. And when you enlisted, were you still in school?
Were you still in school when you enlisted? Were you still in school when you enlisted?
Yeah. Officially kicked out of school.
This is going to be an exciting paper.
Yeah.
Well, I had just got expelled for breaking broncs in the schoolyard.
Breaking what in the schoolyard?
Broncs, riding horses.
Oh.
Breaking broncs.
I got $10 for one I rode, so somebody could go over and get on and ride it away.
That's $10. That's a lot of money.
I know.
It was then.
Yeah.
$10 then was a lot of money.
Wow. So you went from riding horses to
Oh, I got expelled from school 3 times for riding broncs in the schoolyard.
Oh.
Twice in elementary school and once in high school. Back then, the most common wage was $10 a week.
$10 a week. Oh, so it was like $2 a day?
No,
No?
I was lucky. A lot of the time I made $2 a day.
Oh.
But $10 a week was the most common.
Man. And what was the work week like? Was it 5 days a week? Or was it like every day? 10 hours a day?
From can't see to can't see.
Oh, can't see to can't see. Jeez.
So early in the morning,
Yeah.
you still can't really see.
Mm-hmm.
So dark in the evening, and you can't see.
And then you're done.
7 days a week.
7 days a week. So 7 days a week.
We didn't have unions then.
Okay. So 1950 is when you turned 17 and you enlisted. 1950.
And
Okay.
that's the year Korea.
I'll put it this way. A lot of us was working in 1950 for one reason. We like to eat. You get hungry enough, you'll work.
Wow.
So he just turned 88.
Wow.
I went in the military in 1951.
1951. 10-4, Grandpa. Roger that. But so what happened in the Korean War? You know, you're working the ground, you're sweeping it up.
Well, we went in. Well, they lined up those artillery battalions.
Yeah.
And all the ammo they could shoot. And Ridgway says, don't let them through. And we didn't. Well, just like old Benner Downey said, those valleys out there had a lot of bodies in them.
Mm,
We finished filling them.
thanks.
Mhm.
What infantry unit did you say you were in? The 176?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
Got it. Okay.
it was a Pennsylvania National Guard outfit. And I was stuck in it as filler personnel.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So
When you say filler personnel, what does that mean, Grandpa? Filler personnel.
Well, an outfit never always had all the people they needed.
Okay.
So just before they'd run them into combat, they'd fill them up.
With
They'd send people in to bring them up.
like admin? When you say pencil pushers, you mean like data entry guys?
Well, they'd send us in there so they had enough people.
So it looked like a lot.
Yeah, they did that a lot.
wow. Pencil pushers.
Sorry, Jen, I'm looking over your questions too to kind of help. Oh, okay. So when you arrived in Korea, Ponsol, what?
Busan.
I can't remember.
I could dig in some of them books over there and find out when I got to Korea.
Yeah. What happened? Did you guys just start fighting the next day?
No, they had to take all of our equipment, clean it up, get it ready.
Okay.
Then we went north, joined in up there with.
And it was all walking?
No.
Oh.
That's what them things are for.
Oh, you guys jumped in the tanks. Got it.
We went from Busan to Incheon on LSTs.
The tanks.
That was the boat that you could ride in there, drop the front, and off you'd go.
Oh, like the ones that stormed Normandy Beach. I'm
Those are
just
the
thinking of like
those are
Saving Private Ryan and Forrest Gump.
Well, a lot of those things that we used then, they look crappy,
Oh,
but they worked.
they worked.
They worked. And that was the big thing.
Okay.
You wanted them to work. A lot of this crap they got now don't work.
So you were right in the middle of some combat then, huh?
I can't hear her.
Sorry, right about now, Grandpa. She's saying you were right in the middle of combat.
Yeah,
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
I've been shot at.
Okay.
Never got hit, but I've been shot at.
Were you scared? Were you scared at any time?
Anybody that's being shot at that tells you they ain't scared is a liar.
Fair enough.
Yeah, if you're being shot at, you're scared. If you got any brains at all, you got some people ain't got enough smarts to be down to be scared. But
So were there, I take it then that there were a lot of casualties in your unit?
A lot of people
No.
die. No?
we had very few.
Wow.
That's what all that
Metal
armor plating around is
armor.
for. And we had to carry ammo around for them. We had half tracks, and they had armor plating on the sides.
While you were at war, did you stay in, how did you stay in touch with your family? Did you write letters home or anything?
We had the same thing they had during World War II. We had V-mail.
Email?
You could put your message in it, fold it shut. On the outside, on the back, you put free. Because you didn't have to pay for postage.
Nice.
Wow.
And you could write a full sheet, fold it up, put the address on the outside, and free.
And free.
And it went back to the land of the big PX, continental U.S.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we had little names for just about everything.
Why was the
Continental. Why was that the land of the big PX?
Yeah.
Because that's where all the bases that had the big PXs were at.
The big PXs.
Like, okay, here in Hawaii, you had a big PX up at Schofield. You had a big PX over in Kaneohe. You had a big PX down in Hickam.
Mm.
You had one in Pearl Harbor.
What's a PX?
Post Exchange.
I got it. Got it.
Yeah. PX was your big shopping store.
That's awesome.
Oh. So who did you write letters to?
Not much of anybody. I was never much of a communicator.
Same.
Well, my mother knew some people in the military.
Mm-hmm.
She'd write to them, and they would write to my CO, and he would tell me, sit down there and write a letter. And he'd make me sit there in front of him and write the letter, and then he'd mail it. I was never that much of a communicator. Not on paper.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Let's see. So when you guys were in Korea, how did you and your fellow soldiers entertain yourselves?
When you were out in the field or with your fellow soldiers, how did you guys entertain yourself?
Wait till you got back in the rear.
Huh?
Wait till you was back in the rear echelon somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then what?
Then you'd write whoever you wanted to.
Oh, but what about for amusement or entertainment or fun? You guys haven't you guys have fun in the military at all? Or entertainment
Huh?
or amusement for yourself? You guys play games, card games, or
Pranks.
pranks? Yeah. Did you guys
Poker, craps.
in the military? You guys
Oh,
did
yes.
that?
Oh, yes. We had some people, that's the way they sent a lot of money home.
Oh,
Oh,
wow. Wow. So when did you come into Schofield? You went from Korea to Schofield, or you went from Korea to...
I came into Schofield in August 1957.
Okay, August 1957.
Came into Schofield in August of 57. Got put in a heavy weapons outfit,
Yeah.
shooting 106 recoilless. Then I went over to the 90 millimeter anti-tank guns. The 90s was a new innovation to the Army.
Oh.
So they put a bunch of us in there
Mm-hmm.
and assigned us to this outfit with the 90s. And everybody was saying, oh, it ain't worth a damn, you can't shoot indirect fire. In other words, you can't shoot over the hill.
Mm.
Oh.
Two of us showed them how to do it. They told them how to do it in the manual. They just couldn't put page X together with page Y. You had to combine three different pages
Oh.
to get the instructions to shoot indirect fire.
Wow. So 1957, you were in Schofield. Where were you before that? Were you still in Korea?
Huh?
So in 1957, you were in Schofield.
Yeah.
But before Schofield, where were you?
Fort Lewis, Washington.
Washington.
I was pulling a straight leg ground tour.
Great Lakes ground tour.
We don't know what that is, Grandpa.
A ground tour is sitting somewhere where you don't have nobody shooting at you, you don't have no danger.
Weird.
By then I was married already too.
Oh, yikes, Grandpa, you passed a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, so you're in Korea, you're in the Korean War, and then what happens? Did you get injured?
No.
Okay.
Well,
then I went back to, well,
dodging those
for
bullets.
artillery, that's part of the living.
Mm.
When you get those big guns, that's part of the living, is losing hearing.
Oh, so that was the injury.
Well, let me put it this way. They shoot a shell that big around, weighs 26 pounds.
Uh-huh.
They are noisy.
You didn't have any protection? There's no PPE in the 1951 era?
Well, if you could find a cigarette filter.
Oh, really?
If you could get half of the 30 caliber bore patch, they worked.
Wow.
What you might call worked.
Okay, improvising.
Yep.
Yeah, improvising.
So
that's the name of the game in the military. Field expedient. Field expedient. Using something to do a job that it ain't supposed to do.
Yeah. So did you have any cigarette filters in your ears?
If you could find somebody that smoked filtered cigarettes,
yeah,
you're in good shape. There wasn't too many people would admit to smoking filtered cigarettes.
I see. Wow.
Oh, really?
But I went from Fort Sill, Oklahoma to Camp Drake, Japan.
Okay, so Korea, Oklahoma, then they sent you to Japan.
Yeah. I went to Japan, met 4'8.5" of mean, and ended up marrying her.
Did you say of mean? Was grandma mean?
4'8.5", and I had to get permission to get married.
From who?
My parents.
Oh.
I still wasn't. Back then, 21 was the magic number.
Mm.
And how old were you?
18.
And then she had to get permission?
No,
No.
they let her get married at 18.
Oh, I see.
We got married.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm getting ready to go back to the land of the big PX again.
Okay.
So I had to get all the paperwork ready.
Mm.
And back then, I had to sign a contract, or somebody that was 18 or older had to sign a contract with Uncle Sam that any of my dependents would not become dependent upon the government for 5 years.
Oh, interesting.
That was for my wife to get her visa.
Oh.
I see. Okay. So did you both come back to America?
Yeah,
And what was that like?
she lived on spaghetti
Oh, wow.
for 2 years because that was the only thing on a menu she knew what it was.
Oh.
And she wouldn't take my word for it. See, they can't say I'm anti-immigration. I brought 2 of them back.
You have to tell Genesis why 2.
Yeah.
Huh?
Why 2? You only married one person. How come you brought 2 people back?
Biology.
Oh my gosh, Grandpa, just get to the point.
You practiced biology twice.
I see. Okay.
I brought a wife and a son back with me.
Oh. So how old was your son when you brought him back?
3.
Oh, he was
No,
3.
2.
Oh, he was 2. Okay, 2.
She'd been back. We'd been back about a year, and Keiko was born.
Oh, so wait a minute. When you were in Japan, you got married and got your wife pregnant at the same time.
Okay.
We'd been back about a year. Keiko was born.
Okay.
2 years later, Kenji was born.
So you flew from Japan to Hawaii? Did you go from Japan to Hawaii?
No, we went back to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, Fort Lewis, Washington.
Oh, okay.
Then we came here.
Then you came here.
What year did you come to Hawaii?
1957.
Okay, when you went to Schofield.
Yeah.
Okay.
1957, that was the first time you've been to Hawaii.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which one?
What did you think about your fellow officers and soldiers? Did you make any friends? Lifelong?
Let's not go there.
You don't want her to write
I'll
it
put
in
it
her
this
paper?
way. Some of them were as good as people as you could serve with.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Some of them, they were lucky they didn't smell like they served. Uh-huh. That's being complimentary.
So do you?
Most of the local people that I served with were damn good. See, I had a big advantage getting along with people. I was raised by a half Hawaiian family in Idaho. Her name was actually Mili Mili Kapaki. Born and raised on Maui. She married an early Mormon missionary and went to Idaho. Her advice to me was, you're going to travel. You're going to travel a lot and you're going to travel far. When you get there, remember, if anybody is better, it's the people there. Because they can teach you things that will keep you alive longer. And they can teach you things that will help you be you better. Go there, learn, ask them to teach you. If when you get ready to leave, they thank you for teaching them, you can walk away with head high and proud. Because knowledge went both ways.
Wow.
So I started off halfway around the track before a lot of these other guys got started.
Wow. That's so insightful.
I'll put it this way, I didn't live an average life.
Doesn't sound like it.
I was going to write a book one time. But then I figured out, ain't got the time. Ain't got a fancy enough education. So I'll leave it up to you guys to write it for me.
Roger that.
Got that. Absolutely. Amazing. Okay, let me see here. So did you end up in Hawaii by choice? And why did you choose Hawaii?
Huh?
Why did you choose to end up in Hawaii?
Why did you choose Hawaii to grow your family and live?
Well, married to an Oriental who, up until she died in 2001, had a Japanese accent so thick you needed a chainsaw to cut it. She came here, and no matter where she went, there was somebody who spoke Japanese. So it made life a lot less complicated.
Oh. I can see that.
I took the coward's way out. I got here to Hawaii. There was always somebody around that could translate for me. Stick around and enjoy it.
I'm sure she appreciated that though, huh? So, did your experience in the military influence your thinking about war at all in the future?
I do sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Usually it'll be as a dream. I'll be stuck on that riverbed in front of that thing with an M1 rifle and a case of ammo, and them saying if it's in front of you and it moves, lay it down.
Mm. Wow.
That was, I think that's one of the most recurrent dreams. You don't take an old peaceful Idaho kid, stick him in there and tell him shoot all them people and not get some adverse effects out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So, what do you think about wars now? The wars that happened after, the wars that are happening now.
You mean these half-assed excuses they're calling wars? Let me put it this way, they don't know how. These people want to go, oh, we're going to go fight a war. We'll shoot at this guy and he'll shoot at us and nobody will hit each other. Nobody will get hurt. Bullshit. If it's a war, somebody's going to get hurt.
Hmm.
You're going to have death in war.
Did you lose any close friends in the war?
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, out of the outfit I went to Korea with, I lost 4 of them.
Wow.
So, that's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
And shipping people out of Schofield, shipping them to Vietnam. Some of them didn't make it back.
Mm.
So, Grandpa was a trainer for the Vietnam troops up at Schofield. So, he wasn't really in Vietnam War, but he was part of sending the troops to
I
Vietnam.
taught jungle and guerrilla warfare up at Schofield. Taught people going to Vietnam how to do it.
Amazing.
Along with the guerrilla and ground warfare.
Guerrilla warfare is being able to take the way they think, twist it up real good, and screw them blind.
Okay.
That's guerrilla warfare.
Yikes. It's bad.
You don't use any conventional tactics in guerrilla war. You take what you know they're going to do, stir it all up, and do just the back-asswards opposite of what they're going to do.
Wow.
Interesting.
So that is what you taught them over at Schofield?
That's what I was doing just before I got out.
Oh, okay. Wow. So let me see if I missed anything. Okay.
Are you at Life After War? Is that where we're at?
I'm kind of jumping around.
That's what I was doing. I was a ship fitter.
Ship fitter.
Keep them ships floating.
Ship better. How long did you do that?
9.5 years.
Okay. And then what did life look like after that for you? Were you still in the military or did you get a civilian job?
I was a civilian man.
Mm.
Civil service.
Got it. Okay.
Keeping those Navy ships afloat.
So after Pearl Harbor, is that when you got into hunter education?
Yeah,
Oh.
that and NRA's NRA's firearm safety.
Mm.
So Grandpa was a hunter educator here in Hawaii, or instructor. I'm sorry, hunter education instructor here in Hawaii for like many years.
Wow.
Hunter education, I taught something like 11,000.
11,000 kids.
Wow.
That was, I put my signature went on their final paper. And I'd be afraid to guess how many NRA students I taught, and then I trained instructors for the NRA.
Can I just make sure I have some of the final details correct? What year did you leave Korea?
What?
What year did you leave Korea?
52?
Yep. What year did you go to Japan? 55? 54? No.
50, 52, 53.
53.
Right after.
Okay.
Got it. Is there anything else you want to tell me that I didn't cover maybe about your experience or the war or the America during that time?
No, I'll tell you, I got a lot of pre-military. How many people do you know that can remember when everything was rationed?
Nobody.
World War II, just about everything was rationed. You could get paid for black widow spiders. If there was a net, a web along with them, you could get paid for that spider and that web.
What?
Why?
Because the black widow spider web was the only one strong enough it could withstand the vibration and the punishment in a bomb sight in a bomber.
Wow.
The other spider, the web wasn't strong enough.
Oh.
But the black widow, you could take your web and the spider, put them in a box, ship them up, and they pay you for it. Because the black widow's web was strong enough to use in the sight on a bomber. Well, I got a big cash bonus. See, just about everything they pay you for,
Oh.
especially metal.
When the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, what was your reaction to the news? Where were you?
We gonna kick ass.
I have a question.
Thanks, Grandpa.
One more question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that political opinions were as polarized or controversial back then as they are now?
No.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone came out of the woodwork and was like, F America.
That was the guy that drug a whole bunch of them out of the woodwork.
Oh.
Oh, yes.
Do we know this guy?
McCarthy drug him out of the woodwork.
McCarthy. McCarthy. Okay.
He drug him out of the woodwork. And a lot of those people he drug out of the woodwork still don't work.
Wow.
Wow.
He drug them out of the woodwork and got them fired. And this one outfit come along. Hey, join our party. Join our party. Join our party. And as soon as they got them in that party, hey, go ahead and run for office. We'll give you money to run for office with. They're still doing it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you talking with me today.
Yeah, if you want to talk again, I'm around.
I may take you up on that. I'll let you know how my project goes and if I need to ask you any more questions. Is that okay?
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Charles. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me.
Anytime.